I don't think it's fair to compare every subsequent Batman game to Rocksteady's Arkham series. These are not only fantastic games, but also some of the best licensed games ever made. But Gotham Knights was made by Warner Bros. Montreal, which not only previously developed its own Batman game, but also made DLC for Arkham Knight. Despite this, even if Gotham Knights tried to do something different, it would still not be entirely fair to compare them. But Gotham Knights really tries to emulate a lot of things in the Arkham game, all the while making almost everything worse. It's far from a bad game, but it's bland, stagnant, and wears out its technique long before the finish line. Gotham Knights starts with an extremely interesting cutscene showing Batman fighting Ra's al Ghul and ends with both of them falling in an explosion. Batman's four protégés, Batgirl, Young Robin, Elder Robin, and Killer Robin, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood respectively, vow to understand why things went the way they did all along, doing everything they could to replace their mentor. However, the story doesn't stay that interesting, as the writing is fuzzy and the characterization is weak. The cast almost looks like they were pulled from a mediocre animated show. These are not particularly good versions of the characters. Their character designs are also aimless and most of them remind me of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Nightwing, blue, is Leonardo, Batgirl, purple, is Donatello, and Red Hood, his name, is Raphael. I could say Robin is Mikey because he's the youngest, but that's too much. When they're not in costume, their outfits are still color-coded, which made me think of Power Rangers characters. This is all too stupid to be taken seriously. Barbara wears a partially tucked-in purple and yellow shirt with a bat necklace. She looks like a background dancer in an early 90s hip-hop video. Soft diet. Unfortunately, the cartoonish depiction of the characters is a mirror of the overall art style of Gotham Knights. The game is colorful and the textures are detailed, but the city is almost ridiculously bland. Gotham is not like Gotham, it looks like any other city from any other open-world game, just like the characters look like they could be anything. The city itself is also not memorable, and it is not interesting to explore it. Navigation in the Arkham games was explosive. This is where I feel like I'm waiting a few minutes to get to the icon unless I'm using fast travel. There are several very prominent elements of Arkham in the gameplay. Climbing up high ground to wait for enemies to pass nearby to perform a stealth kill, similar to how you sneak around. The side stories, made up of case files focusing on individual villains, are reminiscent of how Arkham Knight handled them. You even have moments where you have to investigate crime scenes in order to use the evidence to come to the right conclusion. Mixing and matching projectiles with fisticuffs is pretty much the same. It's not just another Batman game, Rocksteady's work is in its DNA. Unfortunately, combat is the worst thing about Gotham Knights. The fight is slow, unresponsive, and indistinct. You will mainly deal damage with 4 or 5 melee combos that you repeat ad nauseum, but you constantly have to interrupt them to dodge. This gives the fights a special rhythm of hitting, dodging. You can add an extra hit to a character combo unlocked by skill trees, but combat after an hour will be the same as after 15 hours. It's functional but boring. After about 8 hours, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I found myself sighing and rolling my eyes as I watched the characters continue the same unnatural combination over and over again. Boss fights are even worse, as they can be overly intense to an absurd degree. The stealth also lacks depth, pales even in comparison to Arkham Asylum. Take the bike out of crime. Movement also doesn't feel as smooth or intuitive as it does in Arkham Knight. You still use the grappling hook to pull yourself up to buildings. And depending on this, the characters get different navigational abilities. For example, Batgirl has the same glide as Batman. Only, he doesn't feel nearly as good as he used to. The clumsy joining of the jumps at the end of the slide holds doesn't feel as fluid or smooth. Looks and feels like a cheap copy. Then there's the bike, which is shared by all 4 characters. It's terribly boring to ride and doesn't feel like it carries a lot of weight. As in combat, driving is formal. Everything is harmless, but completely unimaginative. On the other hand, the structure of the game is actually quite attractive. From the group's headquarters, Belfry, you can use the information to learn about premeditated crimes, plan your next steps, and figure out what to do with any members of the con artists gallery. Interacting with the door will start the night shift, where you can move freely around the city. You can stop any number of crimes, both accidental and deliberate. Intentional crimes are deeper and see you doing things like rescuing people strapped to bombs, or you can break into an enemy stronghold and take them down one by one. There are quite a few side activities, from collectibles and drone scanning for fast travel locations to character-focused side stories. When you return to the bell tower, the night will end and you will move on to the next day to meet up with the others. It's a great way to get to grips with a superhero game, and it's the best thing about Gotham Knights. Yes, craft. Most actions earn you experience which will level up your characters. A nice touch is that all 4 characters share experience so you never have to grind them individually. Leveling up grants ability points to distribute across Gotham Knights' completely unimpressive skill trees. There are some useful things, such as Batgirl's ability to avoid detection by security cameras or Little Red Riding Hood, which deals additional damage to certain gangs. But many skills are trifling. Characters will also learn more momentum abilities, which are basically super attacks you use when you fill up a section of the momentum bar. There are several gangs, each with their own quirks. But the frequency with which enemies shoot at you or throw Molotovs is exhausting, as you have to constantly dodge not only nearby enemies, but others as well. When hit, enemies drop crafting materials and blueprints. As you level up, your current equipment becomes obsolete and you will need to craft new suits, melee weapons, and projectiles. Annoyingly, you can only change your equipment at the bell tower. There are also mods that you can put into equipment, but in most cases they are meaningless. Having to change gear regularly doesn't work in Gotham Knights. He feels attached and unwanted. However, the nice thing about costumes is that there are many different costume options, so your characters will look different all the time, which is a lot of fun. Many of the costumes are cool too, which makes up for in the character designs. There is also the possibility of customization, as you can change the color, hood, and other parts of the costume. Aside from how the city and activities work, outfits and customization are another of the best things about the game. But it just doesn't really matter when the main game is so bland and uninteresting. I'm very surprised at how simple and secure much of Gotham Knights is. It also has a terrible PC port with the worst open world performance I've ever seen. On the RTX 3090, I still saw frame rate drops of up to 20s at 1440p. And there are input issues, as the left analog stick on the controller only registers 8 directions, making movement sloppy and inaccurate. Gotham Knights does a good job with a few things, but mostly squirms with everything else. Poor quality port only complicates the sale.